Like the rest of the country, we're still trying to wrap our heads around the senseless murder of the popular podcaster and conservative activist Charlie Kirk yesterday.
The day after Charlie was killed was the first day that most of the late night hosts could address Charlie's death on air. Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, and Stephen Colbert were in the middle of taping Wednesday night's episode when they got word, that Charlie had passed away. Colbert was the sole host that decided to tape an additional new intro for Wednesday night's episode.
Our condolences go out to his family and all of his loved ones.
Now, Stephen did acknowledge it again off the top of his monologue last night.
The country is still shocked and horrified by yesterday's assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. However you feel about his politics, he was a young father of 2 small children and an American who has the constitutional right to express his opinion in safety.
So then comes the challenge of what joke am I going to make? Or what is going to be the funny punchline that allows me to transition or pivot to the more comedic material in today's headlines?
In the end, as Americans, we are all brothers and sisters. Or at least Mike Johnson and I look like we are.
I look like the Speaker of the House. Not bad. Now, Jimmy Kimmel did post a message on social media yesterday asking for at least one day where we forego the angry finger pointing. Well, for day 2, Trump started it.
He blamed Democrats for their rhetoric. The man who told a crowd of supporters that maybe the Second Amendment people should do something about Hillary Clinton. The man who said he wouldn't mind if someone shot through the fake news media. The man who unleashed a mob on the Capitol and said Liz Cheney should face 9 barrels shooting at her for supporting his opponent blames the radical left for their rhetoric.
Then Jimmy pivoted to the much more tragic day in American history that has even less, comedic potential.
And then the man who on 9/11, 2001, bragged that his building was now the tallest building in New York, which wasn't even true, by the way, visited the Pentagon for a 9/11 memorial.
But really, the 9/11 memorial ceremony was just the setting that allowed Jimmy to poke fun at the Trumps' super awkward and cold marriage.
Those 2 lovebirds, they seem to be closer than ever. I mean, if you see during the ceremony, in a tender moment, Donald reaches over and gives her a little tap.
Political violence is abhorrent and anathema to the highest ideals of this country. It corrodes us and threatens the very foundations of our democracy.
Yeah, Seth Meyers didn't shoehorn any jokes into his opening 3-minute monologue that went way beyond just acknowledging the passing of Charlie.
3 months ago, Minnesota Democratic lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were murdered in their home in what officials described as a politically motivated assassination. This rising tide of political violence will only lead to a darker and more dangerous place, and it must end. In a moment like this, it is the responsibility of all public figures to marshal their dignity and compassion and lead us to a calmer, more rational place. This effort cannot be one-sided, and it must start at the top.
Yeah, not only was Seth not going for laughs, you could really hear the real frustration and anger in his voice when he mentioned, Trump's lack of leadership. Now, speaking of lack of...
Welcome to The Tonight Show. You're here.
Yeah, on The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon chose not to mention Charlie Kirk's death on Thursday's episode.
Keep the party going, man. I love it. We're here to party. Come on.
Even though he didn't talk about it on air, I'm sure there's a lot of talk beforehand on whether or not Jimmy was going to talk about it or not. I don't think he had to, and Jimmy does not do those types of talks well. He just doesn't. I don't think we need Jimmy Fallon to speak on it anyway. We all recall the last time Jimmy presented a Republican in an empathetic light. I have no doubt he remembers that too. So yeah, it's probably best that he just steers clear. And reality is the tributes and acknowledgements of Charlie's passing have been a little excessive. So I don't mind Jimmy leaving it out. But yeah, what do you think of Fallon's decision to not mention the death of Charlie on air, and then how Seth, Kimmel, and Colbert did handle it?